This is Morten from Inkish. Sometimes when you do interviews with people, you have an idea of what you want to achieve. And sometimes it's also a little bit about freestyling. I'm going to talk to Shlomo, who is the CEO of Highcon. And the reason why I chose, and he has not said no yet, maybe he will do that in a moment. The reason why I want to freestyle a little bit is because the situation in Israel right now is actually, of course, something that is a big concern for especially the people that lives here. It's something that influences a lot of lives here. And the reason why I bring this to the, let's say, to the theme of this interview with Shlomo is because he has a background in the military. He's got injured himself 46 years ago, at the same day as there was a pre-drupa last week in Dusseldorf. But also because just a few days after the terrible terror attack in Israel in October, Shlomo and I had, I think it was a very personal discussion about how Highcon is developing as a company. So, Shlomo?
Wow, you got me by surprise.
Isn't that, isn't that also what you like sometimes?
I like to think fast on my feet. Yeah, I'm very good when, there is no preparation. So I like this kind of.
When I was sitting in the plane yesterday, I was sitting to a young guy, Ethan, 19 years old, and he talked about how Israeli men and women are in the military for as part of your country's culture and the needs, basically, of how things are. And I spoke to him that it gives maybe a higher level of, let's say, unity in the society, because basically also when it comes to education, the military and IDF has given let's say, higher common understanding of where you have your staffing from. Is that something, because you have been in the military yourself, is something that plays a role when you recruit?
It's a good question. I won't deny that the military background of candidates comes every now and then in conversations. It kind of a litmus test, if you will. I mean, people have gone through certain screening process. And, for me, it's like, hiring a person from Harvard Business School or hiring somebody from, a low-level college. And I look at the candidates and I'm saying, okay, the guy from Harvard probably got his family to support him. The guy from I don't know what college in West New York or wherever, he had to probably support his family while he was actually studying. So I will always give more weight for people that have actually dealt with adversities. And so that's my personal philosophy. I always try to look at not just the titles, but really how the process, how people dealt with the cards that were given to them when they were at birth.
But the reason I'm asking is also because I take that the last time we spoke, that was in an online interview, and that was essentially because you thought that in my evaluation of my judgment of Highcon at the time was maybe not entirely, it was not entirely wrong, but it was not fulfilling the entire scope of it. And I guess that the fighting gene and the willingness to survive, that is deep in the Israeli and the Jewish history. I guess that is also part of the history of Highcon, right?
Yeah, I guess it's every company that is built to last, if you will, go through periods. And the color of our periods is unique to us and with our experiences. And clearly overcoming those challenges and making a lemonade from the lemon is something that I think Highcon has been forced. I've joined the company in 2019. We had COVID. We had the war in Ukraine. We had the economic crisis. It's like one crisis after another. And I do believe that some of the crises we dealt, we leveraged, if you will, and we actually brought it to our benefit. We started to sell Highcon online. Who would have buy $1 million, $1.5 million piece of equipment with a demo online? Who would have thought that this is even possible? It was. we were not the only one that followed that, but we kind of discovered. So adversity sometimes brings good things. And the fact, for us, we, at the end of 2023, the reality forced us to take some tough decisions. It was not a popular time to make those tough decisions when people are actually in reserve, and many of which are in the battlefield. But we had to do it. I'm glad we did it. I do have a personal commitment and I would say a desire to call all those that I had to let go to come back at some point.
Yeah, because basically what I see now, because it's the first time I'm here at your new headquarters, so of course I see there's also a big change from, let's say, a totally different headquarters that you had to something that is modern, has a kind of a New York style to it, right? It seems that it's a rebirth of Highcon, and the people that I have met today seem very eager of being on the winning team, right?
No, first of all, I'm glad to hear that. Always outside perspective is probably more accurate than you can actually have on your own. But yeah, I do think that the fact that we united everyone under one roof is a huge plus. And yeah, I would say that I'm very proud of the team here. I think one of the things that goes for Highcon is the fact that we do have people that are very loyal. We have people that believe in the vision and believe that this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. And yes, we will have ups and downs along the way. Hopefully at some point we'll get a break and you'll start to see the spiking curve. We're working very hard at it. Hopefully drupa would be a good springboard for us. We're very optimistic about it, but the jury is out. You have good products and you have a good team. You have good communication and marketing, in my opinion. So the foundation for success is there, and I think that also the way that you talk to customers seem that you're more aligned with customer needs now than you have ever been. Before we continue a little bit about the products and the strategies for Highcon, I was just thinking when you talk about all the crises that you have been through since you got here, right? I was just thinking, do you think that in your role, do you get immune to these kind of things? But I know it's a little bit tough to ask, but if crises become a constant, right? It is like you have to navigate in that space all the time. You can't get immune against those things. It's just if the vision is strong enough and you surround yourself with people that you trust, I think that gives you the power to kind of overcome those challenges. And yeah, I do believe that building a company like Highcon, and it's probably true for any other hardware or multidisciplinary high-tech system, the growth pain sometimes are very painful. And as long as you remember the long-term vision, and as long as you look back and you see what you have accomplished, and you surround yourself with good people, I think the rest will take care of itself. We need some luck. It never hurts, but that's what I can say about it. Are you hardworking and stubborn at the same time? I would say I'm hardworking. It's like even when I go for the ski slope, I would have my earplugs in my ears and I would stop in the middle of the slope and have a conference call if I need to. My wife probably hates me for that, but she learned to accept it. And so it comes with the territory. If I'm stubborn, I think I'm determined. I'm determined and I try not to see the obstacles. I try to understand the obstacles and what do I need to do to overcome those. But I have a very strong conviction in my way. I understand very well that I cannot be successful on my own. This is why I learned very early on in my career that I need to surround myself with people that are better than me. And I can certainly say that about Highcon. And this is not just my direct report, but it's their direct report as well. I think there is a culture here of, there is no too much politics. Maybe it's the size of the organization. I don't want to be naive here. But it's a healthy culture. We all, with all the crises, and we're not living at an easy time right now in Israel in general, for sure. You have a board of very famous and talented people. How is that collaborating with superstars? I must say that I have, first of all, I have Alon Barshani as my chairman. And Alon and I go back many, many years. In fact, I hired him to replace me as the chief financial officer at Indigo back then. And obviously, he grew up and became the legendary HP Indigo general manager. And actually, when I decided to join Highcon, I consulted with him when he was the GM for HP Indigo. And I said, why don't you join me? He says, no, I can't. I've got this organizational obligations. But when he left Indigo, I reached out to him and it was a no-brainer. He came and said, why don't you, come and be my boss, be my chairman. I have Benny Landa, which I don't think we need to say much about. Benny is a big visionary and he's been with Highcon pretty much since inception. I do have JVP, which joined a few years later. I do have shareholders that have actually doubled their shareholding in the company, and
which means that they believe very much in the vision still, right?
None of the early shareholders, the large shareholders, have sold a single share. And I would tell you, some of them believe that they may not get their investment back, but yet they're persistent and they're staying in the company, they're supporting me. Generally, I would say I have a very supportive board. And recently, by the way, we've announced it, but Sealed Air, the new name is C, we concluded that it's better to have them around the table because the company will have some strategic, I would say, steps in its evolution, and it's better to have those players around the table and not come to them, after the fact. So we do have Sealed Air sitting around the table as well as an observer with no voting rights, but normally in these boards, you're not making votes. I mean, pretty much it's unanimous, all the decisions. So I'm blessed in this regard, no question about it.
I mean, one thing is the let's say the nearby visions of making a successful and also a very profitable company. In your personal, let's say, ambitions, what are the long term? Where do you see, let's say, if you look at Highcon, let's say that we are very old men that meets in 20 years' time, right? What is Highcon then?
So first of all, Highcon is only 15. Okay, so we're, we just
pretty,
had bar mitzvah.
Pretty young, right? Yeah.
We just had bar mitzvah, okay? Secondly, we're talking today about mainstreaming digital die cutting. And I like that phrase because mainstreaming is coming not just from technological advancement, it's coming also from maturity of a market. And if you are looking today, we just came from the pre-drupa event that you mentioned early on, everybody was talking about agility, manufacturing on demand, sustainability, and shorter runs. Everyone was talking about it. In the same time, everyone talks about digital print. But guess what? Without having end-to-end digital solution, you're not really ready to deal with those mega market trends. So I do believe that we worked very hard to get to that point that we can actually talk about mainstreaming digital die cutting. We have 2/3 of our customer base doing packaging. We have those packaging customers growing year over year, 50% in the last 4 years. And this is not because we placed more units. It's mostly because these guys have kind of embraced those mega market trends and have actually delivered solutions to their customers that meet those, mega trends. So I wouldn't say my desire, and this is where I would probably take some rest, okay, is if I see that Highcon is on a path, whether on its own or with a strategic partner, and it's probably will have to be with some kind of a strategic partner, is on a path to become a dominant player, at least as it relates to the digital transformation of this industry. And digital is not a question of if. It's really not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I do believe that Highcon, through the years, have mastered the technology to the level that it does allow it to talk about mainstreaming. So I know it was a long answer, but hopefully I gave you the gist of my dream and my vision and what kind of drives me on a daily basis. Thank you very much. You're a very dear person.
Likewise.